Hey there, today I'm going to get to talk about one of the big reveals from Atomic Mass Games' mini extravaganza with the Amazing Spider-Man. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Alright, so in today's video I have a few things that I'm going to talk about or discuss. First is, of course, the new Peter Parker we are getting sometime this summer. Second is comparing this new Peter to the core box one. And finally, I want to compare his leadership ability to Miles. And because I'm going to be talking about all of that today, you can expect a good look at Carnage and Mysterio will be coming shortly, but not in this video. But before I get into any of that, I want to mention the guild sponsor, Tritex Games, because today we have yet another winner for our monthly giveaway that will be announced at the end of the video. And so with March's giveaway done, this video also starts April's giveaway. You can enter up to 5 times this month by commenting once on each of April's videos and being subscribed to the channel. As well, if you're looking to pick up any MCP releases, check out Tritex Games page and use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout for an extra 5% off your Marvel purchases. And with that, let's get into the Amazing Spider-Man. He has the alter ego of Peter Parker. He has 6 stamina, moves long on a 50mm base, which is a big deal that I'll get into later. He is still just size 2 though for 5 threat. He has 4 for his physical and energy defenses, and a 3 for his mystic defense. His first attack is Spider Strike. It has a range of 3, strength of 5 for 0 power. Like most builders, this attack will gain Peter a power for each damage dealt by this attack, and additionally, if you manage to roll a crit and a wild, the attack gains momentum. This gives Peter some extra movement, as you can choose another enemy character within range 2 of the original target, and then place the Amazing Spider-Man within range 1 of that other target, and then that character suffers a collision as if Spider-Man was thrown into them. His next physical attack is called Whatever a Spider Can. It only has a range of 2, but it rolls a massive 8 dice for 5 power. After the attack has resolved, Spider-Man can advance medium, and on a wild, the attack gains catch. After the attack is resolved, you may choose an interactive terrain feature of size 2 or less and within range 3 and destroy it. The target of the attack then suffers a collision as if the terrain was thrown at them. These 2 attacks really show off some of Spider-Man's max mobility and how him swinging around and throwing himself and that nearby dumpster can really add up. And speaking of swinging around, his only active superpower is Web Swing. For 2 power, it allows Spider-Man to place himself within range 3 of his current position. Then the next time Spider-Man makes a Spider Strike attack this turn, Pete gets to roll 2 extra dice. And as with most other mobility-based superpowers, this can only be used once per turn. Additionally, Spider-Man has a reactive power called Witty Banter. It only costs 1 power to use, but when an enemy character within range 3 of the Amazing Spider-Man attacks an allied character, which includes Peter himself, he can use this superpower. During the modify opponent's dice dip of the attack, you may reroll 1 die in the attack roll. This can be big in a lot of ways, especially if your opponent is trying to trigger a special effect off of a certain die face, and you can force them to reroll that 1 die. Finally, Spider-Man has 2 innate abilities. First is his Mastered Spider Senses. This allows Peter to reroll any number of his defense or dodge dice, which is a big upgrade on the normal Spider Senses. And of course, he also has the Wall Crawler keyword. And fortunately for Peter, there are no changes on his injured side either. So taking the new Amazing Spider-Man as a new just 5 threat character, he has 2 things that he excels at, 1 thing he does pretty well, and 1 thing that other 5 threat characters have been chastised for not having. Starting with what he is great at, let's start with his mobility. A long move with a 50mm base means that from deployment, Spider-Man can reach a center objective in a single move. This means that he can go and pick up something and then move back to safety, or that he can just easily move and then attack. As well, a range 3 place effect for just 2 power means that Peter can really book it across the board if he needs to get somewhere. Additionally, both of his attacks have at least a chance of additional movement. Spider Strike's momentum is conditional on having a nearby enemy model and getting the crit in a hit, but can generate a nice bit of movement since this is a range 3 attack and then a range 2 place off of that, and of course his spinner has a guaranteed move attached to it. So he is fast. The other thing he really has going for him is his durability. 12 total stamina is decent enough when you have above average defenses in physical and energy, but adding the ability to reroll any number of defense dice is just kind of bonkers good, and it even has the Mystic defense cover this time. Additionally, witty banter can be fantastic for denying another point of damage, but more importantly, denying a certain die face your opponent needs to trigger an effect. There shouldn't be any major concerns for this Peter on the table unless you see a Venom across the board, really. And while Peter isn't the king of the damage-dealing 5-threat characters, he is still well above average. His 5-die strike gets much better when you add in the web swing, not just because of the 2 extra dice and the weight of the dice pool, but also because of the additional chance of activating momentum, which makes sense because he is swinging in with extra momentum. AMG is real cute with these kind of things. And even though his spender costs 5 power, it does give him an 8 dice attack and the chance to basically throw a nearby terrain feature into the target for some serious damage output. So Peter's attacks can land pretty well and have the chance at making one target or another dodging as well. All of this leads me up to the one con I have for this character, along with most other 5-threat characters who are missing this kind of ability, and that is opponent displacement. Other than through dazing and KOing, the Amazing Spider-Man doesn't have a way to ensure an opponent is moved off of a point on his own. Granted, it is hardly a deal breaker because Peter can still amount to a lot just moving around, swinging around the board, but it makes him play extremely differently from the core Parker, where that was kind of what his specialty was. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and compare the two Peter Parkers. So to keep them easily identifiable, 4-threat Spider-Man I will refer to as Core Parker or Core Spider-Man, and the 5-threat Spider-Man will be Peak Parker, as AMG has described this model reflecting Spider-Man at his prime. So Core Parker is a control piece through and through. In the early days of the game, he didn't really have a home because there wasn't a secure objective control list that fit with his playstyle. Eventually, he found his home amongst the Web Warriors, being able to team up with Gwen and Venom with their own secure point disruption. However, Core Parker doesn't really hit particularly hard or take a hit particularly well. And so as Peter has grown up, he is less about diversionary tactics as he has now these skills to go toe-to-toe with his foes. So Peak Parker is certainly better at defense with higher stamina, better defenses, and more rerolls. But really what makes his offensive output so much more appealing is the web swing. And while the 2 extra dice are really nice to have, it's more about the movement and getting a pseudo charge so that Peter can more easily double attack while still being plenty mobile. As well as the difference between a 35mm base and a long move and a 50mm base with a long move doesn't seem like it would be that big of a difference, and for most of the game it's probably not. But on turn 1, it is such a difference maker because it means that you can get to that central line in one move, which gives you a lot more options on that turn 1 play. So because we cannot have 2 characters with the same alter ego in your group of 10, which Spider-Man should you take? And my kind of cop-out answer, and real answer though, is try them both out and figure out which one fits your playstyle more. At this point, I know quite a few Web Warrior players who've come to love their Core Parker because of how many points he can deny at the end of a round. And I'm sure many people will be happy with the new Peak Parker as a big beat stick. So if you're looking for synergies and other affiliations, I'd probably lean towards Peak Parker as he is a great mobile beater similar to Angela. But if you're looking for a great control piece, I can easily say to stick with the Core Parker because that is just what he shines at doing. But also try them both out a few times if you haven't before. Don't just dismiss one or the other outright because they both have their places. And with that, let's finally talk about Peter's leadership ability, Friendly Neighborhood Spider Team. It allows an allied character to spend a power on their turn to target an enemy character within range 2. Then either the target character gains the slow special condition, or if they are already slowed, the enemy character is placed within range 1 of its current position and the slow condition is removed. So first of all, this is really thematic with the Web Warriors having a consistent way of, well, webbing up their opponents, but it's also just a really nice leadership ability. The slow won't affect every character in the game in a big way, but slowing down one of your opponent's long movers can be catastrophic for the enemy. As well, there is some natural synergy with the affiliated Team Tactic card all webbed up, letting your web warriors really lay out the pain anywhere on the board for that turn. And finally, it gives a little bit more of control option for targets that are already slowed so that they can be repositioned off of points or towards other allies for a beatdown. But how does it stack up against Miles' great responsibility? Well, they are extremely different. Miles' defensive reroll is great because it is free, and then it has the added bonus for your team of being able to reroll or modify those nasty failure results. It's going to be hard to walk away from Miles' leadership for players who are used to his ability because of how universally good it is and how much more durable it can make your team. But the Amazing Spider-Man brings the chance at slowing down your opponent. And if two characters use the ability, you can begin repositioning your opponent's models, or it just may take a couple of turns to get there with one. Personally, I will probably play with the Amazing Spider-Man's leadership for a bit, but I'm really drawn toward the durability and consistency that Miles' leadership gives, especially for Pete Parker himself, since he can already reroll all of his defense dice, and being able to modify those failures is going to be even better. As for other affiliations that I think the Amazing Spider-Man will enjoy teaming up with, the first one that stands out to me is the Avengers. One, because I really hope that we finally get a Spider-Man who is affiliated with the Avengers, so I can run a dual roster of Spiders and Avengers, because Venom also loves teaming up with the Avengers. And two, because a turn 1 web swing is bonkers. For example, on a B-secure setup like Arcades, Amusement Park, or Infinity Formula, Peter can swing up to your point, and if an opponent is securing the point on the other side closer to you, Peter can get in 2 spider strikes right off the bat. The first of which will be rolling 7 dice, no less. Aside from the Avengers, there aren't any standout affiliations that can really do crazy things, but I will say most places that have Angela in affiliation will probably not need another 5-threat mobile beat stick, since she already fills out that role herself quite nicely, but pretty much anywhere else will happily take him. So these are all of my thoughts for the new Peter Parker that unfortunately we won't see until sometime this summer. Now real quick, I am going to throw this over to Future Me for the winner of March's giveaway. Alright, and here I am as Future Nate, I guess, and the comments are loaded in, and we have Grim. Sad we have to wait 2 months for these guys, but super excited to get them on the board. And that looks to be coming from the Deadpool video where there was 109 total comments as entry points. Grim R, thank you so much for entering, and happy to announce your winner. We'll be in contact shortly. And I'm back. If you want to have a chance at winning this month's contest, make sure you are subscribed to this channel and leave a comment down below. If you don't know what to say, just tell me who you hope is the next addition to the Web Warriors and why it's Flash Thompson, aka Agent Venom. Here at the end, I want to give an extra special thank you to all of the members of the Guild Hall who are supporting what I am doing with the channel. There are always more and more things I'm wanting to do, and because of this extra support, I am slowly but surely able to get some of those things checked off. If you are interested in supporting the channel, check out the links down in the description for the Guild's Patreon page and Tritex Games page, where you can use that discount code to let them know I sent you their way. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.